What are the big challenges in marketing in Africa, and what are the possible solutions to them?
Biggest challenge in Africa, I'd probably say because of how diverse Africa is. I think because of how diverse it is, it's really difficult sometimes for brands to play in this space because every market is very different and it needs a nuanced kind of approach.
Yeah.
And I think that probably makes it the most trickiest thing. And I also think another challenge is infrastructure and connectivity. There's large parts of South Africa where, they don't even have roads, no internet, no electricity. People are still using, people are still, getting water out of wells and stuff. And because of a lack of infrastructure, it makes it really difficult to communicate sometimes with some of those people.
Yeah.
And in terms of solutions, I think because it's diverse, my first point, I think we need to have a localized approach when communicating with audiences.
Okay.
I think finding, partners within those regions, they can help you build up roadmaps to better communicate with those people will be really effective. So I think use a nuanced approach to communicate directly with those people, and make sure you're adapting and localizing your content as much as possible so you're communicating effectively with those people.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the infrastructure point, I think that probably boils down to, voting the right people into power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can, build out some of that infrastructure that we need. So we're better able to kind of get everybody, on the same page.
Tell me, okay, would you consider data as part of the infrastructure challenge?
Yeah, definitely. I think data is extremely expensive. Well, I'm talking from South African standpoint. It's really expensive.
I will tell you, South Africa might be one of the country that have more available data.
Yeah, definitely. Like data is available, but it's just really, really expensive. And for people to be connected to the internet, it's also a big challenge here.
Yeah.
Most people in the township can't afford
it. I'm even talking about data. See, as a marketer, I'll say for you to understand the people, you need to have some data about them.
Those people,
yeah. And that having those kind of information is a little bit
also tricky.
Difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a real challenge to also really maybe understand some of those audiences. And I think maybe it's also maybe really looking at how maybe you communicate with some of those people. Like I'll never forget. So there was a guy it was a startup company. It was called Meet Q. It's like a dating app. I met with the founder like online. We had like a few Zoom calls, and he wanted to expand the app and introduce it to South Africa potentially. And I'll never forget, we had a conversation, and he had built the app for iOS for Apple devices. And I said, okay, well, look, one, if you wanna reach a mass audience in Africa, one, we're gonna have to get it to be Android friendly.
Yeah.
And two, we need to make sure it's offline. It's an offline app as well, meaning it mustn't consume data, so people can still use this thing offline.
Yeah.
And if they can still use it offline, then we'll be able to reach much more of an audience. And then we can also on the back end, what we can do is start capturing those people's details and their data, so we can tailor make our approach, so we know exactly how to communicate with these people on the app. And that was some of the advice I kind of gave him, because I think a lot of people, they want to come play in this space, but there's so many people don't have access to data, one, and also they use Androids because Androids are a lot more affordable. Apple devices tend to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that you need to take in consideration if you want to play in this space.
Yeah.